Hello and welcome. This is my submission for the Mantle Hackathon, where I would be describing and showcasing a DeFi that integrated the Noah SDK. So the name of my product is Noah, and it's an SDK that allows you to perform to provide zero knowledge proofs to avoid redundant KYC operations. So ideally, if you were to interact with this DeFi, you would have to show if you were to interact with this DeFi system, you'd have to show that you are over the age of 18. So there could be several requirements depending on the KYC setup of the DeFi provider. But for this DeFi provider, we're just checking for age across four different jurisdictions, right? So the minimum age is 18, there are four jurisdictions, and accreditation is required, right? These KYC metrics could vary across several platforms, right? And what Noah does is Noah stands in between the KYC provider and your protocol, right? So what you are doing now is when your KYC protocol it verifies the documents. With Noah, you can avoid redundant checks, right? So yeah, let's come over to the protocol. So what the protocol would ideally want to do is that they would want to set up their requirements here. So they'll set up whether it's a minimum age of 18 or 19 or whatever, and then they will also specify the amount of jurisdictions. So these requirements have already been set, but you could also update it as a protocol. So this is the kind of like the admin side. So the protocol can update these requirements if they are going to like make any changes as time goes on. And remember, these requirements are not just limited to age. It can vary. It could be location. You could check across several documents. It's just we're using age just to demonstrate a use case for Noah, right? And now here is the issuer operation. So with this issuer operation, the application can now decide to generate credential hashes that will be used to identify based on the document that the user provides. So yeah, so it's the KYC provider that would handle this part where they can register and manage the credentials for users. So in other words, what the KYC provider does is that they create this credential hash, which kind of like enables the user to perform whatever transaction. So now we'll generate a credential hash, and as you can see, this whole process here doesn't require transactions. It's a gasless transaction, and then we can get this user address, and we'd use the user address to register that credential in order for them to be able to access the DeFi platform on the other side. If you notice, we're not able to access the DeFi platform at that time, and now we're going to register this. This should just take a short while. Okay, so we've been able to register the credential, and we're now going to move to the next phase where this is where the user would interact with the app, right? So if the user is interacting with the app, this is the point where they verify and generate their proof, which they could now use to interact with the DeFi, right? So this proof is what verifies that they meet the age requirement. So let's assume our user is like 20, right? He meets the age requirement, and then he verifies and generates his proof. And yeah, so as you can see, it has loaded his credential hash, which is the hash that was registered by the KYC provider there. So that, as you can see, the user doesn't need to come and do a KYC when interacting with the DeFi system, because he has already done this KYC check with his KYC provider. So now we're going to verify proof and grant access to in order for us to have access to this DeFi platform. And this is the only gas operation, and um, yeah, it's loading. And yeah, while we wait, access has been granted now, as we can see here, and now the user has access to the DeFi platform. So he can come here and make a deposit. He could say he wants to deposit 1 ETH, and the deposit goes. And our user can also withdraw that amount of ETH. So thank you very much, and Looking forward to everyone integrating Noah to prevent redundant KYC checks.